Growing up ages 15, 16, 17, 18, those are years where you are very impressionable and you are very vulnerable to what people say. And I think the reason this topic is so important to me is because there are people that are 15, 16, 17 years old right now that are doing exactly what I was doing at that age that may be receiving even more hate than what I was getting. Growing up, I loved video cameras. I loved cameras in general. There was just something about capturing a moment that was super important for me and something I really, really enjoyed doing. So I kind of dabbled in that when YouTube came out and Instagram and Twitter. I've been a part of all these different social medias for a long time. I think I posted my first YouTube video when I was 10 years old and now I'm 21. So the past 11 years of my life, I've been on the internet, and that has opened me up to a lot of criticism. There have been a lot of good things that have come from all these different sites, but there's also a lot of destruction that has come from them, and it's not just an issue that I struggle with, but it's something thousands and thousands, if not millions of other people struggle with. So it's something that really needs to be touched on and something that needs to be exposed day after day. I picked up my first camera a long time ago. I can't even remember how old I was, but I remember getting my first camera for Christmas, and I was 10 years old at the time, and it was a little 2 megapixel camera that had a little flip screen on the side, just a little silver box, and I still have it to this day, and that's what I filmed my first YouTube video on. And ever since then, I've just kind of had a desire to make new videos and post new videos. It even got to the point where from the age of 15 to 18, I posted a video every single day of my life for a long time. I think it was like 735 days in a row. So a lot of my life is on the internet, and a lot of it's on the internet by choice because I just had a desire to film, I had a desire to document, and it's not something I look back on and regret because I absolutely love going back and seeing what I was like when I was 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, now that I'm 21. It doesn't seem like that long ago, but 6 years is big. Growing up ages 15, 16, 17, 18, those are years where you are very impressionable and you are very vulnerable to what people say. I think the reason this topic is so important to me is because there are people that are 15, 16, 17 years old right now that are doing exactly what I was doing at that age that may be receiving even more hate than what I was getting. And it doesn't have anything to do with what they're posting. It has to do with people thinking they're superior to the person they're watching, and so they feel the need to bring them down however they can. And a lot of times you type a comment out and you throw it out on someone's video thinking that A, they're not going to see it, or B, you think it's funny to make fun of something they've done or something about them or something about their character and not really give constructive criticism or just feedback on their videos in general. And those hateful comments can really do damage to a person emotionally and mentally. That's something that needs to be exposed. It's something that's not okay. It's something that's been normalized on the internet now. I think we're at a point where that needs to be ripped apart, and that needs to not be the norm anymore, because it's not okay that it became the norm to begin with. I don't want people older or younger than me to experience those hate comments, because at the end of the day, those left a lasting impact on me when I was younger, and now I've kind of learned how to handle it. But there's 15-year-olds, 14-year-olds that may not know how to handle it, and people think they're being funny, but at the end of the day, you might be doing severe damage to someone who's very vulnerable at that moment and looking for affirmation in certain areas. So we need to combat this. Growing up, my family would always say, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it at all. And I think everyone's family has said that at some point. But when the internet is thrown into this, and anonymity is thrown into this, where you can throw out whatever words you want and no one's going to know who you are and they're not going to be able to trace it back to you, or there's no consequences, then that golden rule gets ripped to shreds. Social media is a good thing. Social media has created a culture where artists can thrive, or bloggers can thrive, or writers can thrive. And that's something I love, being a creative person, kind of being outside of the norm when it comes to career path. Social media is phenomenal, but there's always that other side of the coin where people just don't achieve levels of success as other people on social media platforms, so they feel the need to tear people down not by tearing their work down, but tearing down who they are. And that's across all platforms. That's across Tumblr. That's across Twitter. That's across Instagram. That's across YouTube. So when I was 15, 16, and 17, a lot of the comments were along the lines of, this video sucks, you're fat, XYZ. I mean, fill in the blank with whatever you want. And I think one that really, really stuck with me is over the 7-8 years I've been doing YouTube consistently, or Instagram consistently, or Twitter consistently, because it's been across all platforms, is there's one specific person, no matter how many times I try to block them or mute them or whatever, they make a new account just to call me fat in whatever way they can. And it's not creative at all. It's not funny at all, because those comments when I was younger, I kind of struggled with. I had this idea of who I was, and then this person was directly going against that idea and that truth of who I was. And so I started to internalize that comment time after time after time. And so that's one example that still follows me to this day. I think 3 weeks can't go by without this person making a new account to call me fat, which now I look at and I'm like, dude, sad life. I've been kind of primed over the years, which sucks, but it's something that's a reality, is that I had to endure a lot of hate to kind of figure out how to combat it. And that's something I want younger generations, or people who are even my age now, to not have to go through. I don't want them to have to endure hate, endure pain, just to know how to combat it. We need to create a community that's willing to come around people and help fight for them when they don't know how to. So the comments of someone calling me fat for years bothered me. And then all of a sudden there was this switch. There was this switch in me where I had a desire to finally call them out in a video, which at the end of the day might not have been the best idea. I think I was 18 at the time when I did that, because it just fueled their fire and made things worse. Because they think by bringing someone else down that they're going to pull themselves up and feel high and mighty and prideful and egotistical about themselves, when in reality they just pull themselves down even further. And that's just one example. There's millions of comments that everyone has to endure. Everyone's story is different, whether people are calling you stupid, dumb, they're calling you fat, they're calling you lazy, they're calling you gay, they're calling you ignorant, they're calling you a waste of time, or telling you to kill yourself. Those are all comments that are not okay. They need to stop being normalized, and they need to be fought against actively. They need to be exposed, and the people that think they're anonymous need to be exposed through this. And while I don't have all the answers of how to expose these people, or how to truly combat each comment or each case, because it's all different case to case to case, if we create a community that's willing to come around each other, see these comments, and actively fight against them, that's when the victory is going to happen, and that's when the healthy environment's going to be built up. Photographers on Instagram need constructive criticism. They don't need hate. Writers on Twitter don't need hate, they need feedback. YouTubers don't need hate, they need feedback. Everyone needs constructive criticism and feedback to grow in their art, and a lot of people on social media are desiring that, but this community where people don't follow that is not okay. What needs to be done is all this needs to be exposed. Comments that occur need to be exposed, and people who are receiving these comments need to be affirmed that those comments don't define who they are, and they shouldn't change how they view themselves or view their work or view their content. Because at the end of the day, most of those hate comments aren't geared towards content, they're geared towards character. And if we can come around people as a community, doesn't matter if you're Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it may be, if we can come together as a community and come around people who are receiving these hate comments, we can actively be their arms for this battle. The important thing is that creators know that their worth isn't tied to comments about their character. It's not even tied to their content necessarily, but it is important for creators to know that their content has worth and that they have worth. We need a community of healthy content creators who are willing to fight for their peers.